How can you turn $24,000 in $600,000 in a matter of 12 months? Well, that is precisely what I did, or part of what I did, in order to jumpstart my net worth, going from negative 40K, so minus 40K, and jumping it all the way to 800 as of the end of 2021. So I'm going to share with you exactly which stocks I bought, when I bought them, when I sold them, and what was the strategy behind it in the time frame that allowed me to actually make sure, well, do I need to hold? Do I need to sell? When was the right time to buy? Etc., etc. So this will definitely interest you folks if you want to make that much money even in 2022. It's still possible, because the stock market can be a cash machine if you know exactly what you're doing. All right, so follow me for a second. Everything started back in 2020. Well, specifically for these stocks, all right, because prior to 2020 I was already invested heavily into the stock market, but I'm only going to talk about these stocks that I precisely bought based on what happened in 2020. All right, so bunch of these stocks were pretty much in oil sector, energy, oil and gas, a little bit of technology, a little bit of crypto, but majorly oil and gas. All right, and what we call a pre-IPO stock. If you guys don't know what it is, we're going to also talk about how you can also invest in pre-IPO in this stock in this video. So first off, so everything started in 2020, and I'm going to use these ETFs to give you kind of an illustration of why I decided to get heavily invested into oil and gas stocks exactly when COVID hit and everybody was panic selling. Everybody was just going out of everything, all right? And it will kind of make sense to you as well. So here it is, folks. This is what we call the Energy Select Sector SPDR Fund. This is actually what gives you, or measures the performance of energy sector within the S&P 500, which is, kind of the market in the US here. So COVID hit in 2020. Everybody was selling. You can see it here. Boom. It went all the way down and it lost 78% of its value. This is oil in general, the oil sector. And it made sense then, because if you are locked down, all right, you don't travel, all right, if you don't travel, if you don't fly, if you don't go out, because anything is closed out. If everything is closed out, you are pretty much stuck at home doing nothing. Maybe not doing nothing, Netflixing and chilling. That's what a bunch of us used to do for those of us who were not working, all right? Now, the thing is, because nobody was traveling, nobody was flying, nobody was actually using oil and gas, this was one of the sectors that was the most hit during the pandemic, precisely because of what you just mentioned. And again, back then it made sense. But as Warren Buffett always said, when everybody is fearful, when everybody is panicking, when everybody is like, oh man, I don't know if this is the right time, if everybody is selling out, then that's when you need to start looking at, when can I put my money to work for me? And this is precisely what I did. Why? Why did I choose oil and energy? Because despite the push in Congress, despite the push on TV, despite the push in all the ads on TV and social media with electrical vehicle and going electric and the green energy, well, when and you look at the numbers, you look at the technicalities, you look at what is happening behind the scenes, it doesn't make sense that oil will not be here for the next 20 to 50 years. Why? Because even if we still have Teslas out there, even if we still have Lucids and Neos and electrical vehicle, we still need oil for pretty much 80 to 90% of everything we do on a daily basis. Your clothes that you're wearing, oil is part of that. You know what I mean? Like the watch you're wearing, the phone, your smartphone, even though it's much a lot electrical, oil is at the center of life, of modern life. Why? Because in order to ship everything we are buying online, in order to get food delivered to you, in order to move, to go to a park, to go visit your friends and family members, in order to go to some place, to visit some place, to travel, everything needs oil, especially when you have to take long distance. So back then, everybody was staying away from oil, and I made this analysis and quickly kind of made sense to me that, hey, oil will rebound. It may not rebound as quickly as retail did or technology did, but it will rebound. All right, especially when the world starts to recover. So fast forward in 2021, now we can see that, well, it has been recovered. As of December of 2021, it was already gaining what, 70%. No, 102%. 102%. So double the amount of what it was trading at the very, very bottom of the pandemic. All right. Now, as today, it's almost 200%. So I bought this specific stock. I bought Callon Petroleum, and I bought it around $5 a share. If you go back to the 5-year chart, I bought it around $5 a share, which was really around here. Yeah, somewhere here. So if you multiply, this is actually a 1,266%. This is $55 per share. And back then, I bought a bunch of these shares. At 5, I bought almost 4,000 shares. So 4,000 multiplied by 55, it will give you around maybe what, $250,000 only on this stock alone. All right. Then I also bought these stocks, Devon Energy. Devon Energy was also a very, very, very good return on my investment because I bought around $12 or $16 a share. Yeah, somewhere here. I was a little bit late compared to the others. Yeah, I bought around here, and boom, all the way to now, but actually not now because I sold it around September. So that was a 113%, right? So I bought around 14 or 12 and I sold around 42. So I had about 3,000 shares of that. So 3,000 shares, multiplied by 20, that's already another huge amount of money. All right. So I also bought VET. VET is another energy company in Canada, based in Canada and Bay. I wasn't as early in this as I was in the others because I kind of catch this a little bit late on the game. And I think my average was around 6 something. Yeah. 680 or 7. Yeah. So as of December of 2021, I think it was sitting around maybe $5 or $6 per share. That was a 90% gain. So I had about 4,200 shares of this. So if you multiply by 6, that's another big chunk of money there that I made. Now, another one that I bought, another oil and gas stock, CDF. I bought these, I think it was around $2 a share. Yeah, $2 a share was somewhere here. Yep, somewhere here. And then I sold it around the 7th or something. Yeah, so again, you can look at $5 a share, but I didn't have a bunch of these. I think I only had 10,000 shares of these, but I didn't sold everything. I didn't sold my entire position back then. And then I had a little bit of Chevron, which are the big ones. I had a little bit of the Exxon, which are also the big one. And I bought these around here, but I didn't have a ton of shares because the price here, I think it was trading at what, $59 compared to now at 160. So 59 was already a little bit kind of expensive to get a lot more shares compared to maybe a Callon Petroleum here, which was trading at $5 when I bought it. So it kind of made sense for me to maximize the dollar I was investing there. And then I also had the opportunity to invest into Palantir Technology. But even before the IPO went on. Why? Because I had the ability through a network, for people that are called accreditor investors. I had the ability to actually buy Palantir at $8.50, $8.50 a share, but that was prior to the IPO. So I was kind of what we call an insider then. And right at, when it started trading, you can see that, it went from $10 and then hit 27, 28, 30. At some point, it reached $40 a share, $45 a share. So I was kind of trading this back and forth. And at some point, I think I held more than maybe 3,500 shares of Palantir. And right now, I'm sitting on 2,400s, but I traded a bunch of these and it made me a lot of cash from $8.50 or 9 to all the way to 45. You can do the math, and it will give you another pretty good example of how much money I made here. Now, all of these positions on these stocks, back in October of 2021, I didn't sell the entire position. I only sold a portion, because back then my game plan was to actually only sell out and raise cash that would give me the opportunity to kind of pay my mortgage totally off, which, a year prior to that, I was buying a new house that was a brand new build. So I raised around maybe $300,000 by selling 50 to 60% of my positions in some of these stocks I just shared with you, and that's how I was able to pay off my mortgage. But if you take my entire portfolio with the remaining, at that time, October, November of 2021, it was still sitting, I had an extra 300 as well. So as a total, it made 600 at that time, and then since we had some ups and downs, and now it's kind of back up again. So I'm up again, maybe 150 or $200,000 in total in my portfolio based on where I sold off a couple of months ago. So I'm now looking very closely at what the Russia-Ukraine war is going to send oil to, in order to kind of time a little bit, when is going to be the right time to actually trim again, to have some cash on hand, which I can reinvest in other stocks, maybe in crypto, or if these stocks go down further as a retracement. So this is kind of the strategy I use. So majorly in energy, a little bit of Palantir as pre-IPO, and that's how I was able to actually turn $24,000 into $600,000. It is still possible to do such performance in 2022. Not as likely, because 2020 was a record year. 2021 was also a record year. 2022 is going to be a little bit tough, but depending on what is happening in the market, depending on what is going to drive the market, and I believe it's going to be inflation and the end of this war, which is ultimately tied together, because if the war continues, it's going to drive inflation even higher. And what is also part of inflation? Oil. Oil stocks have been gaining a lot. And oil is the only sector so far in 2022 that is green, and green big. All right. So if you want to still make a lot of money in 2022, well, make sure that you are buying stocks that are going to benefit a lot from inflation edge, protection against inflation, or push the share price of stocks higher, like is this the case now for energy. But we're going to dump into much more details maybe in a separate video. I don't want to make this video a little bit longer than I usually do, but here you have it, folks. Let me know in the comment section what you think, and